I wanted to show you at least some of my Dungeons & Dragons books, so you know where I'm coming from when I give my review of Dungeons & Dragons Online, which, if you haven't heard by now, is free, sort of. And that's kind of my first complaint against it, is it's not really free. And I think most people, when they saw the news, they kind of looked at the details and went, oh, of course. Because it still is mired in a lot of microtransactions, and that's exactly the problem is. You get kind of like a trial version of it free. You can run around and do everything everyone else can do up to a point. I believe my level is capped at level 4. I don't think I can advance beyond that point unless I pay more. You're limited to 2 character choices, which was never really a problem for me. I tend to have one main and one alternate character. And you can only choose from the core races. You have to buy the other races, and a few variant classes like the Monk, Big Whoop, you have to buy. But it's kind of a minor thing where you have to pay to register a guild. You have to pay to unlock certain dungeons, so you don't get the full range of quests. But still, by and large, you really are getting pretty much the same experience everyone else does, except for the level cap, which still chafes me. Here's what I thought about the game itself, and I think it's kind of hopeless in the sense you can't compare an MMO without comparing it to World of Warcraft, because that is still, love it or hate it, the standard to which everyone compares an MMO. Really, and does it hold up to World of Warcraft? No. Does it hold up on its own if you don't like World of Warcraft? Not really. And that's kind of strange, because when I was playing it, I really didn't have many problems with it in the sense that it's well made, it's well balanced. It seems pretty close to World of Warcraft in its kind of flavor and its setting. And so I was trying to figure out why I wasn't really having that good of a time. For one, and this is, like I said, the Dungeons & Dragons nerd, it's based in the Eberron campaign. And if you're not a Dungeons & Dragons player, I've already lost you. Eberron is kind of the newest campaign setting, and to tell you the truth, I don't think any of the old schoolers really embraced it, and will never embrace Eberron. There's kind of some historical reasons for that, which I won't bore you with, but it's just, why Eberron? There are so many other campaign choices they could have made that would have made more sense for an online game. And I'm just going with the basics here. The ones that everyone knows about, Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, let me think, Planescape. Now, you wouldn't do Planescape, although that would be awesome. Ravenloft would be a really good campaign setting, and in fact, you could think of several things they could do with the online version where you could kind of link these, where you'd have different servers running different campaign worlds, and that would be kind of awesome, having like alternate characters on different planes of existence, like one in Forgotten Realms, one in Ravenloft, and they would never cross over, of course, but that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? But Eberron is like this kind of high-technology, high-magic hybrid campaign where it just doesn't feel like Dungeons & Dragons to me. D&D to me is running around a really open, expansive world, visiting lots of different places, different continents, going to lots of different cities, and meeting a variety of monsters. Dungeons & Dragons, although it does play by the D&D rules quite strictly, and that's actually a weakness, if you're not a D&D player, you will have no idea what you're doing or how the rules work. Now, if you are a D&D player, you'll know what's going on, and you'll know how to advance your character. Otherwise, if you're not a D&D player, just go with like one of the default builds that it gives you and just roll with it, because otherwise you'll be like, tumble bonus, move silently, hide, isn't that the same thing? Or like, bluff. Don't try to run a rogue unless you know fucking D&D rules, because you will be a bad rogue. But anyway, I was talking about the expansive world, and Dungeons & Dragons Online is not that. It's a interesting world visually, and like I said, Eberron is not a bad campaign, but it's not very good either, and it certainly doesn't feel like Dungeons & Dragons. This game, Eberron, is very city-based, very instance-driven, where you're running around the same city for a long, long time. World of Warcraft lets you run around different continents, different areas. I mean, there were big cities you could adventure in, but you got out of the house a little bit, you know what I'm saying? You spend literally like the first 30 hours of gameplay and your 4 levels before you're capped in basically one city. And virtually every one of those missions is a sewer level. And it's terrible. It's so boring. I hate RPGs where you are just a glorified exterminator. You spend so much time running around sewers killing kobolds. In fact, there's one mission, and this mission takes place outside, ironically, where you do nothing more than kill 200 kobolds. It's so repetitive, so boring, there is almost no variety. I remember spending just about all week killing kobolds, troglodytes, and even then I killed like 6 troglodytes, and gray oozes. Kobolds and ooze. Okay, that's not Dungeons and Dragons. That's not what I want to play. Oh, I killed spiders. Brown spiders. I got a brown spider for you right here, D&D designers. Like, even Dungeons and Dragons, like the basic game, gives you more at first level to kill than fucking kobolds and spiders. Those exist, yes, but even as a DM, when I run a game, I don't run them against fucking vermin. I hate that. So many games start out like that. Even like Sacred 2 and all these games. Just tip, if you're making these games, the fastest way to turn me off of one of these games is to throw me into a basement to kill somebody's fucking spiders. And I know Baldur's Gate did that, but that was like one time. Beyond that, you were fighting like other stuff. You were fighting goblins and what were those little blue things? Exfarts or something. You know, you were fighting different stuff, and there was a lot of mystery and enchantment behind it. There was variety. There is no variety here, and I think that was what really shut me down on D&D Online. Is you're not running quests. You're just clearing out basements. You're clearing out sewers, and you run around killing kobolds. It is boring. It's really boring, and like it gives me no incentive. Maybe that is the incentive to pay for the extra dungeons, where like they maybe dangle a carrot. You may fight other monsters here. And the other thing is, and this is big for me, I don't know if it's big for you guys, but there's virtually no solo capability in this game. World of Warcraft was actually kind of interesting, where you could play with groups if you want, and it was very good with groups, but you could solo virtually everything in World of Warcraft as long as you chose a class that was kind of amenable to that, like a rogue. In this game, once you get past Noob Island, there is no soloing. There's a few quests here and there, but really, you have to have a group of like 3 to 4 guys, even bigger typically for the higher class of dungeons. Now, that's not a problem. That's D&D, okay? D&D relies on you having a well-balanced group of large characters. I can't complain about that. That's really true to the rules. I'm just warning you. If you're not a D&D fan, and you're not ready to play like a kind of D&D group, you're going to be really lost here, and you're not going to like it. And it is kind of restrictive having to either form a steady group in a guild charter, which you have to pay for, real money for, also lame, this is one thing I really hate about MMOs, and this is just a personal thing for me, is I always hate posting looking for group messages in the channel. For some reason, to me, that always seemed like prostitution. Like, me kind of like standing on a street corner going like, level 3 rogue, sucky sucky, like $2, like I will join your group. And so I don't know. I always hated whoring for a group, and that's MMOs. I know, that's just me. I always like to have friends online when I do that. I hate doing that. But yeah, D&D Online, it's hard to complain about free entertainment. And for nothing, you can get to level 4 and have a pretty good time. Oh, that's another thing. It seems to rely on the fact that you're willing to play the same missions over and over again in some kind of desperate bid to extend its gameplay. I'll try, like, for instance, you'll run through a sewer mission where you kill these kobold brothers, and you can solo that. And then there's a mission on, like, normal difficulty where it's expected you'll have, like, a partner, maybe 2. And that's on the normal difficulty if you want to challenge it on the group difficulty. Then there's the hard and elite settings. And so to unlock the hard and elites, you have to beat the normal, then you have to beat the hard, and to get to the elite where you have to have like a full party of guys, it's that hard. You have to beat the mission like 2-3 times. Who wants to do that where you're beating the same mission 3 times? Same map, just more monsters. That's not good design. If you want to do that, fine, but have like every difficulty unlockable at the beginning. So like if you have a large group, you can select the large group difficulty. But doing this thing where you have to beat, if you want to get the full range of experience points, items, and I forget what they call them, like the real money points. You can actually unlock kind of the real money points by beating the extreme difficulty missions. But that just seems like a lot of busy work to me, just having to beat the same missions over and over and over again. So you're running through the same sewer missions, and then you're running through the same sewer missions in the same sewer 3 times. It's not good, and I would still recommend World of Warcraft, and this is coming from a guy who's not really a World of Warcraft fan. I maxed out my character, and I was kind of done. I was not a big raid guy. I was not the kind of guy who collected a lot of rare stuff. I kind of soloed to level 60, tinkered around with the expansion pack, and I was done. And I've been kind of looking for an MMO ever since then. I tried Villains, City of Villains. I tried, what was that game? I tried actually Tabula Rasa, which was kind of clever, actually. It was kind of a shooter type game. Not very good, but I had to applaud the originality there. I never tried Guild Wars. I've heard that was really good, although another one of those games where it was kind of didn't seem like my type of game. I'm actually kind of excited about Star Wars Old Republic and Star Trek, like Angry Joe is. I really would like to try those. Unfortunately, those are really long ways away. I saw one game that didn't look good to me at all at the store called Crimecraft, I think. Some kind of like a online first-person shooter. It looks terrible, and the art style doesn't really grab me at all. But I'll probably hold out for Star Wars. I don't know. I'm a big whore for that. Just even though I hated the prequels and this Old Republic thing, that doesn't grab me. But for some reason, I see Star Wars, and I think that's why the prequels were so successful. Is I don't know. It's some kind of Pavlovian response. I see Star Wars, and I'm like, I have to see this. And, Star Trek, interesting concept. I'm probably going to watch. I haven't seen Angry Joe's interview yet. I would like to see that just to see if you have to be Federation or if you have to be different types of guys and how they're going to resolve this whole thing where you're going to have people flying starships around and who gets to be captain. I don't know. It kind of seems like an interesting way to design an MMO. Champions Online. People have emailed me their own character builds of Dr. Insano in Champions, which is kind of awesome that there's various Dr. Insanos running around. Although, what am I going to do now? If I join Champions Online, I can't make Dr. Insano. I'll run into myself, and then he'll be lots better at this kind of shit than I am, and that'll just be embarrassing. I don't know. Is Champions Online free? Is there a 30-day trial? I think I remember seeing something like that. I don't like paying for things. I like free things, which is why D&D Online attracted me. I'm rambling. I'm actually going to record a few more vlogs in front of the camera here, so stick around. I actually have a bunch of things I want to talk about, and I don't know, for some reason I'm in a really chatty mood, so I'm going to stop this video and I'm going to start recording another video almost immediately. So see you on the other side.